presenting is called MoboTap, and the product that they've developed is called the Dolphin Browser. And the reason that we selected this team to present today is because, well, first of all, they've gotten some pretty incredible traction. The latest numbers I heard is that they have 80 million active users, and so to give you a little background on Dolphin, it's an HTML5 operating system for the phone, or a browser that basically creates bookmarks that look and feel just like applications, mobile applications. And so the reason, again, that we wanted to be sure that Dolphin could present is because, as you all may know, Telefonica, I think earlier this year, announced their partnership with Firefox and the Firefox operating system. And in certain respects, Dolphin sort of represents a counterpoint to the Firefox operating system. So presenting here today, we have Edith Yeung, and she actually flew in from China. Dolphin is a Chinese company, and we're so fortunate and grateful to have her here to present both to the Orange team, and then again later tonight during an internal presentation on international entrepreneurship in the mobile space. So with that, I will see you all. Looks like we're having more time.
Hi everyone, how are you? So I actually, so for Dolphin, just a quick correction. We don't usually say that we're a Chinese company. We do have two offices, one in Beijing, one in Wuhan, but we're also in Japan and obviously in Runway. So it's just quick while we're actually loading this up, which I'll tell you a little bit more about like the story of Dolphin. So we actually started now. Thanks so much, Tia.
I can put
Cool. Thank you so much. So yeah, I am actually a little jet lagged. Just got back from Hong Kong. I actually did a 1 month of travel, started in India. In the past 6 months, actually, we went to many places like Russia, Indonesia, Vietnam. I did about 12 countries in 12 months. Mostly because I have a lot to do. Didn't visit France yet, but I would love to go to Paris, so please invite me. So anyway, maybe we can do the first slide. Just a quick introduction about myself. My name is Edith Yeung. I actually been with Dolphin for about 3 years now. So at the very beginning, when I joined, I wish I could take all the credit. We were at 8 million, right now we're at 80 million. I want to say it's because of me, but it's not really, because before I joined, it was really the product sell itself. And now, I actually focus less energy on user acquisition, a lot more on partnership, which I will tell you a little bit more about what we're doing. But let's move on. Just quickly, before telling about Dolphin, I thought like with this particular group, you guys probably know more about this than me. But one of the reasons why, a lot of times people ask me a lot is, why do we even work on a browser, a mobile browser to begin with? Having Chrome is really strong. Firefox been around for a long time. But I want to share with you a couple of stats that I thought is like just really interesting. So this is a little bit small, but which I'm happy to send it to you guys. But so that the big thing is now 60% of the mobile phone owner access the internet every day, every single day on their mobile phone, more and more than they use on PC. And then the different graph, which I'll send you, is actually research from Pew, PEW. It's a sort of non-profit government agency that actually do a lot of research on activities that are going on a mobile phone. So obviously, number one thing is all about communication, text messaging, but the number two most active activities on mobile phone is definitely searching on the internet. If you can just think about it, right? You're walking down the street, you're hungry, you're looking for a restaurant. You want to look for directions, you look for various different things, or you look for runway, how do you actually find contact number? When you're on the go, the first thing you look for things is on the internet. And for us, obviously I will show you a little bit more about what separates us from other things, but this is one of the reasons why we think there's a lot more things can be done to improve that experience. So if you look at the next slide, another thing that's really interesting now, nearly 40% of the internet time. One thing I think is missing is the communication part. In the past, when I need to make phone calls or message, I use Skype most of the time on laptop. Now, it depends. I do travel a lot, so it depends on where I go. If I'm in Europe or in South America, I use a lot of WhatsApp. I was in China for the last 2 weeks, used WeChat, which is the Chinese version of WhatsApp. I go to Korea, I use KakaoTalk. I go to Japan, I use Line. I'm sure all of you guys know what these messaging apps are. But other than that, if you look at, obviously, accessing the internet, still a lot of people use PC. But looking for direction, map, now 84% of the people are using their mobile phone instead of laptop to look for directions. A couple other things even more interesting. Okay, maybe portal or email, you're still using more laptop. But the fact is, a lot more things like music, social networking, looking at sports, it's all happening on mobile phone instead of a laptop. This is amazing, and a lot of these content is being accessed through our browser. I can tell you right now, it's very, very similar to what we're used to on PC. On Dolphin, the #1 site other than Google is Facebook. And in fact, I went to Indonesia and India in the last 2 months. When I talked to some of the user or mobile phone users, they're not as educated. They don't think that they're on the internet, they just know they're on Facebook. I'm not on the internet, I'm on Facebook. And guess what? Most of these guys access Facebook through a browser, not the app. Because the app itself is actually really network heavy, the performance is really slow, so they would rather access Facebook through like a thinner client, where we come in. So now I want to actually share with you like a quick sort of why and how Dolphin exists. And by the way, this is a quick screenshot of Facebook. On the left-hand side is a really thin, even on the feature phone version of how it looks like on a browser. And this is sort of our Dolphin version of Facebook. If you look at all the pages, which actually load a lot faster than compared to how you use the Facebook app. So now I want to show you a quick, oh yeah, I always try to be funny, but I'm kind of not, so I like to show like these photos. I used this photo when I went to India because cows are really sacred animals. So now like we learn all these things of how the dolphin really dive into sort of the international sea to do all these things. That's why I picked this photo. But just a quick sort of timeline of like how Dolphin started. So we started about now 3.5 years ago. And at the time, our founder, his name is Yeung, he is Chinese, and at the time he was actually working for Microsoft in Seattle. Picked up the first Android phone, which is the HTC G1, and couldn't believe how bad the default browsing experience was. Long story short, decided to build our own, and we decided with the name Dolphin because Dolphin is really smart, really fast, swim really fast. And more importantly, it really learns the way you browse. So a lot of our feature actually came from a user. When we first started, it was only about 3,000 apps on Android. Right now, it's almost 1 million. And when we started, so definitely, even we were surprised. We didn't understand why Chrome wasn't focusing on it. Opera had been around for a long time, but I think at the time, just Android was so early, so they didn't really work on it. And neither is Firefox. So when we started, surprisingly, a lot of other people also have the same issue. So with no marketing, I wasn't around then. For the first 6 months, it took us about 6 months to get to the first 1 million user. And since then, that's how we started with gesture. So we have gesture browsing, you can draw, you don't have to type anything. All our design and experience belief is all about user experience. How do you eliminate typing? So we also started something which I named called Dolphin Sonar. So it was sound. So you can literally talk to Dolphin and say something like eBay Nike shoes. Go to eBay, show you all the Nike shoes without you typing a word. So all these innovations is all about human 5 senses. What if one day you can just kind of, take pictures and it's search, which is happening, but it's not on a browser search yet. But things like this can definitely happen to sort of deal with the whole, especially with Android, with so many different screens and devices. How do you actually deal with that and make sure that there's a consistent experience? So this is sort of what we're working on. So about 1.5 years later, we got our first round of funding from Sequoia, Matrix Partner, and Qualcomm. Also is one of our strategics, and they've been really, really helpful for us to talk to a lot of operators, especially in Asia. And last year, if you sort of look at our history, I would say Dolphin 1.0 and 2011 is all about the product. Last year, after our funding, it's all about partnership with operators, mainly focused in Asia. And this year, especially for me personally, it's all about emerging markets. Right now we have about almost 4 million installed in India without us doing anything. I just hired the first person in India as an evangelist for us, but even before she joined, we already have a lot of install. Russia, which is another market that we're looking at really closely, and after that is Indonesia and Brazil. So basically all the BRIC countries, and of course China, which is almost, our still #1 country is in the US. About 35% of our users are in the US, but after that, China is second, and it's probably going to be surpassed really, really soon. And now we're at 80 million. Don't worry, we have over 1.3 million 5-star review. I just took this screenshot this morning, so it's definitely the latest and greatest stat. And then just quickly on what our focus is. As I mentioned, we're all about mobile. We're mobile-only, mobile-first company. Started with Android, also on iOS and on iPhone and iPad. When I went to India, I ran into some people from Microsoft. They're trying to convince me to do Windows Phone with version, which I'd love to hear you guys thought about that. I still don't think there's enough volume, at least for us to support it. And we're looking at other many different kind of mobile platform as well, so I'd love to hear you guys thought. HTML5, which Tia mentioned, we actually, in terms of belief on HTML5, we definitely align with Firefox. Of course, they're competitors, but at the same time, we all contribute back to open source, very active in WC3. We want to make sure that we all have more and more developers on HTML5. But for us, our strategy is you can have access to the 80 million users that we have. We have a web app store now, which if any of the developers want to submit their apps run on Dolphin, they can. We integrate with a lot of sort of local, Evernote, Dropbox, all these is pretty much all Sequoia company really support us and help us. We do a lot of sort of cross-pollinate in terms of our user back and forth with each other. And then last but not least, of course, multi-screen, and want to make sure that experience is all consistent. We have tons of press, which we don't have to go through in details. But one thing I do want to actually show you guys. I will let you guys pick, actually, if you can go back. We have tons of videos, but I do think that, kind of movement, I can tell you all about it, but you should see something in action. But I want to give you guys some choices. So option A, which is sort of more standard video. Option B is a little bit more funny, so pick one. B. Okay, so let's go with B. So, which is the one that I thought that you guys would pick. So if we go to the YouTube video, you can just play that one. Oh, I need the sound.
Dolphin just answers all of my questions. Everything should. That's not weird at all. Nothing's weird here. Microphone, delete that last comment.
So we have at least another 50-some odd video that you can watch with all the different really, really cool features. But I know we're running out of time, so why don't we actually go to Q&A and see if you guys have any questions.
let's keep it to just a couple of questions, since we actually are quite a bit behind schedule.
Yeah.
You said you're contributing back to the open source community. Are you using
WebKit.
WebKit?
Yeah.
It's WebKit.
WebKit. Any other questions? Yeah. In the back.
What's the business model and how's the company funded?
Great questions. What is our business model? Which I do have additional slide for that, but quickly, it depends on which region. So in certain part of the country, we actually have search revenue. So we actually work with very different search partners. It could be Google, Baidu for China, Yahoo Japan for Japan, Yandex for Russia. So it depends on where we go, we sign that for search. We also actually drive install for other apps. So within our app, within Dolphin, we actually do recommendations. So we make basically CPI, cost per install. So that's another revenue. And last but not least is something that's really new for us is Dolphin for Enterprise. Especially in the US, imagine instead of, I'm not saying, I can't say French, so I'm just saying Orange. Or maybe AT&T with 50,000 employees, it's a lot of intranet encrypted data for corporate. So we're working with companies like Good Technology, Mocana, to actually have an encrypted sort of version for intranet. So they actually pay us license for that. So that's 3 ways.
All right.
So with that, thank you very much. Thanks, Tia.